When we lead, learn, and live the way the brain works best, we simply get better results with less effort. Now, I'm recording this video in June. It is the middle of the year, and so I wanted to share with you one of my favorite exercises that you can use in the middle of the year, in the middle of a project, in the middle of your week, really any time where you need to pause and take inventory. This is a game-changing exercise, so let's get going. Hi friends, I'm Yellin, author of Unforgettable Leadership, 7 Principles for Leading, Learning, and Living, and the president of the Yellin Group. And every single day we help leaders grow themselves, grow their teams, and grow their results. And the exercise that I'm going to walk you through today is one that impacts all 3 of those things. We call this exercise reflect, review, and reset. Now, I'm not a very athletic person, but I do love sports, and there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from them. One of those is that just about any sport you can imagine, there are times throughout the game where the team and the coaches take a break. There might be timeouts. In some sports, there are challenges or penalties given. In other sports, there is a halftime. And halftime, the purpose is way more than just the entertainment that happens. It's a time for the team to come off the field, to regroup, to communicate, to recalibrate, and then go back into the game. It isn't a time for them to get distracted and start a new game. They are dwelling on the game that they are in. This is a great practice we can all learn some valuable lessons from. 4 specific lessons that stand out. One is that even the most highly trained, highly paid, highly tuned athlete still needs a break from the game in order to perform at their best. A second lesson here is that the power of communication. There are times where the team needs to communicate or certain players need to communicate. And additionally, they are communicating with their coaches. A third lesson is that this isn't a time to get distracted and start 10 other games, but rather focus on the game that you're in. And then the 4th lesson that we can take away from this, among many others I feel pretty certain, but a 4th lesson is that this is very intentional. Taking a break, taking a time out, halftime, is a time to really dwell on the game that you're in. Now, dwell is a beautiful word. It actually has 3 different meanings, but all of them apply here. One of the meanings of dwell is what we would use when we say, this is where I choose to live. It's my dwelling. So it's a place where I'm going to pause and be mindful of where I am. I'm also going to be dedicated to that. A second meaning of dwell that I find fascinating is to take inventory. So you think about taking inventory, let's say in a massive warehouse, that's going to be a very intentional, painstaking, meticulous process. And then a third meaning of dwell literally means to chew. In other words, I'm going to put some effort into this. It's not going to happen on accident. So what if we took this concept of stepping out of the game and being very intentional before we re-enter the game? If we took that in our own leadership, we took that to our teams, and how might that impact our results? So let's dive into this exercise of reflect, review, and reset. Now, this exercise is something that you can really use in the middle of anything, the middle of the year in this case, or you could use it in the middle of a project, you could use it in the middle of the week, you could use it in the middle of any change initiative. So I want to walk you through the 3 steps, and I want to share with you some of my favorite questions that I like to use when I'm doing this exercise so that you can use it and you can take it back to your team. Now, I am a recovering English teacher. I love words, and I don't want to miss the meaning of these 3 words. So let's start with reflect. Re means again, right, or back. Flect is an interesting word. It means to bend. It means to throw back an image. It means to turn back and forth in the mind. It's the same word that is used in flexible. And so if we're going to reflect, what we're going to do is we are going to look back and we're going to assess where we've been. So one way to utilize a pause more intentionally is to reflect. Again, to bend away, to look back at the image, or to turn back and forth in the mind. So 3 questions that I love to use when I'm doing reflect. One of those being, what accomplishments are you most proud of? What would you like to be acknowledged for? So here I am in June. If I'm looking back over the last 6 months, I want to start with what have I accomplished? What would I like to be acknowledged for? We want to start in the wins. Why? Because gain energy is much more helpful to our results than gap energy. We want to look at what we've accomplished and take a moment to celebrate that. Your brain is actually 30 to 35% more effective and efficient on positive and accomplishment than it is on stress. The second question that I like to use when reflecting is this. What is a lesson life has been teaching you, either through lived experience, feedback that you're giving, or just any kind of awareness that may be going on in your own head? Our life is always teaching us if we will just be present, stay self-aware, and be willing to look at it and how it is showing up to grow us. We want to just move through with the belief that life is always teaching us, and what it's teaching us is for us. Life is happening for us and not to us. So the second question being, what is a lesson that is showing up in your life as you reflect over this last period of time, whether that's 6 months or a week or 3 months? And a third question really relates to this concept that we call the wheel of life. You might have seen some version. There are many versions of this wheel, and you can create your own. But essentially, on the wheel of life, you take a circle and you put it into the dimensions that are important to getting you the results. So when I'm using this with wheel of life, I might have dimensions that are important for a well-balanced life. There might be family, friends, community involvement, professional, and I'm going to break those dimensions down. But you can also use this with your team and a project. What you're going to do is take this wheel and divide it into the dimensions that are going to have the greatest impact on the results of the project. So if it is building a team, one of those dimensions might be trust. It might be communication. It might be accountability. So you can create the wheel however you want. But here's what I want to say about it. In each dimension, you want to give it a rating from a 1 to a 10. 1 being not doing this so well, to 10 being I'm really killing it. So if you look at your wheel over the last period of time, again, whether that's 6 months or a week or however long it's been, you want to give yourself a rating on where are you in those dimensions. Where have you been successful in this wheel? Now, ideally, once you've identified on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are with each dimension, and then you connect those dots, we want our wheel to roll smoothly. What we don't want it to look like is a bumpy wheel, because a bumpy wheel is equaling a bumpy life and likelihood that you're having a harder time than necessary getting to your results. So the third question I like to ask when we're spending some time pausing and reflecting is, as we look at the dimensions that are important for us getting the results we want, how are we doing? Where have we been successful? The second step in our reflect, review, and reset is review. So review is another word I don't want to go past too quickly. Again, means to look back, and view means to see. But not just to see, but to see from this particular angle, or to see from this particular spot. So why it's important to pause in the middle is to reassess. What are we seeing now that we may not have seen at the beginning of this journey? So 3 questions that you could ask in this stage of review. One of those is this: if we are at the end of this project, or if we are at the end of this year, or if we are at the end of this change initiative and we are looking back, what would lead us to say, that was a home run? We nailed it. We did everything that we set out to do. Now, there's a science to this question. We've often heard that hindsight is 20/20. Well, that really is true when it comes to your brain. So by asking this question this way, what we're doing is we're putting our brain in that future place, and we are looking back, and we're able to assess, what did we do to get us to a place that we're now saying, we nailed it. That was a home run. That was exactly the result that we wanted to create. So question number 1 again is, if we are at the end of this, whatever it is, year, project, change, and we are looking back, what will have to have happened for us to say, we nailed it, we hit a home run? A second question that I like to ask in this stage of review is, what in this moment still feels incomplete or undone? So there's a science to that. Your brain doesn't like things to be incomplete. It's like getting to the end of a song and not finishing it. Your brain has this desire. It's sort of like when you have an itch, your brain has a desire to scratch it, and we want to create that in the middle of a project or a year or a change initiative. So I want you to think about what in this moment, like from this view, still feels incomplete or undone. And then a third question that you can ask here is, going back to the wheel with the dimensions that have the greatest impact on your results, which of these dimensions now require our attention and our energy, so that we make sure that we are deliberately and mindfully moving that to the level that we need for the wheel to roll smoothly. A couple of more points about this wheel is, we want to be in that driver's seat. Remember, life is not the Price is Right. If we want the result, let's not wait to be called on down. Let's get clear on what are the dimensions or the drivers that's going to get us to those results, and let's get real intentional about how we are pursuing that. Again, life doesn't come with a remote control. If you want to change it, we're going to have to get up and do it. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to break it down into the dimensions that are going to have the greatest impact on the result that we want to achieve. The third step in the reflect, review, and reset is reset. And again, it's really important because re means again or back, and set actually means to be devoted to. So what is it moving forward, now that we've taken some time to reflect and review, what do we need to really be devoted to in order to follow through with the actions that we want to take? So with a project, there may be certain things. With your development, it might be certain habits. There are, volumes and volumes and volumes of books that are related to habits of high performers, beliefs of high performers, actions of high performers. We just want to be clear on, where do we need to reset? If I'm working with a team, that reset might be how we're meeting or how we're communicating with each other, but we just want to get really clear on what those things are. When it comes to where I am right now in the middle of the year, and I'm working with leaders who really want to be a bigger, better, bolder version of themselves this year, I'm challenging them to reset in 3 areas. One is be much more intentional about how they're starting out their day, to reclaim their morning. I want them getting up every day and telling their day where to go before it tells them where it went. So I'm challenging them to reset in the area of their morning routine. Another area where I'm challenging them to reset is to think bigger and not play small. I really want them to think about what's really, really possible and what they really, really want, rather than just what they think they can do or what they think they can have. And then a third area that I am challenging leaders is to not go it alone. It's so important that we're surrounding ourselves with coaches, with great team members, and with super fans who are in the stands cheering us on. So those are areas that I'm challenging my leaders right now to reset on. So just about every sport, I think we can agree, there are times where players, no matter how seasoned, no matter how amazing they are, need to hit the pause button and they need to take inventory. And we can learn from that as leaders, and we can bring that to our teams. Where do we get an opportunity, and how could we benefit from those opportunities when we take some time to step out of the game and to reflect on where we've been, review what the view looks like now, and then reset what we're really dedicated to. If you don't have a team of players around you, that may be something that you want to reset on right now. How are you surrounding yourself with people that allow you and encourage you to be the best version of you? If you don't have coaches right now that are helping you, come work with us. That's what we do every single day, is we help leaders grow themselves, grow their teams, and grow their results. Remember, if we can lead, learn, and live the way the brain works best, we can get better results with less effort. So let's all be committed to taking some time to reflect, to review, and to reset, no matter what.